Hey guys, welcome to the critique of that first assignment I gave you on using light in the environment to pick out things, to show more about them with how it displays texture or positioning or depth. And in this case, we've got 15 images that came in time for me to grab this time and do a critique. I'm going to do this in 3 parts. Each one will do 5 of those 15 images, so I don't try to put you to sleep, making you sit through the entire thing at one time. But even with the 5, you can stop or pause or do whatever you want to when you go through it. So let's get going. Let's see what we have here. Well, here's a nice hillside shot with the light coming skimming down, sort of backlit. You can tell that from the shadows that are in here. And it's working really pretty well with this. The only thing I would do is make a decision early on. Do you want this to appear flat? Because there's some real depth in here from the foreground up to the background. You've got this background area that's a far hillside, the middle ground area that's this tree and this row of bushes and all, and then the foreground area starting with this group of plants that are backlit. At the moment, the tonalities are such that they start to blend into one another except for the shadows on the hillside. If you want that to be flat and graphic, congratulations. You probably did that. The only thing I would do is come in a little bit tighter because I think this area over in here isn't really adding much to you. So I would come in and crop that. Let me change the setup to where now let's take a look at that cropping tool. There's our rule of thirds. This is clearly a major area. This is perfect for the division line here. Moving it just a little, and I'll darken this to move it back. Otherwise, I think that's pretty well. When you're looking at that cropping tool, the O key cycles through a number of different grids for you to look at. These are all various philosophies of compositional arrangement. And this actually is the original one corresponding to the golden rectangles and the Fibonacci numbers. And the one that I really like a lot is the spiral. And you can, if you hold down the shift key, you can cycle through them with the O key and see, can you make any of these work? This can be a really powerful composition following that spiral. This particular image doesn't come very close, so I'd move on and probably use this rule of thirds as my guideline for it. But so this is pretty good, so I'm going to take this. I'll say okay. And now I've got a couple of quick things while I'm thinking about cropping it. How about this little light right here? That's kind of a problem. Do I want to crop it? No, because I think I want to keep this bush in place. So all I'm going to do at this point is cheat. I'm going to come in with my eyedropper tool, pick up this color, set my opacity up. Working on color didn't work, maybe on normal. There we go. Yeah, that's better. So now I do want to take the tones of this background and darken those a little. So I'm going to make a duplicate layer. On this top layer, we're going to get into the issue of blend modes, what they do, what value they have for you. All of these different modes have different effects, and you can see them somewhat as you scroll through them, what they are doing. In all cases, let me jump out of that for a minute, you are looking actually at the bottom layer as this blend mode's algorithms are affecting it. So it's as if you're seeing it through the filter of what the blend modes are going to do. In this case, I want to darken them, so I'm going to go into multiply. And what multiply will do is darken the image by about a stop. And that will bring it down for you. And now I want to be able to see some of this. I want to bring this back. This is a little too much. So all I have to do is lower the opacity. Now again, all I'm looking at is the background. I don't care about the foreground because I'm going to deal with that in a minute. So that's cool. That's back there. We've still got a sense of what's there. Now I'm going to pick this layer mask. And since it is white, it means it's revealing the total effect of the layers that we've done. Well, I want to block some of that. So I'm going to use a black brush. And I want it to be full blown. Well, it was at 80%. That's probably enough. And now if I decide that I want to change that, this is why this is so much better than the eraser tool to get through these layers. You can see over here where it's dark, and the degree to which it's gray is how much transparency I forced into this to see through the effect. Well, I want to add some of it back. So I'm going to go pick my white brush and let that go back. So now I've got these foreground bushes separated out a little. And now I can decide, was it a little too much? Yeah, maybe I'm a little better off right there. So I'm going to say okay, flatten it, and I am going to darken this a little bit. That's a little bit distracting for me. And I'm just going to use the burn tool to do it. My exposure is set down. I'm using a very soft brush. I don't want to get rid of it totally. I just want to tone it down to where it's not such a bright, brilliant issue for me. Okay, so now we've created this. Let's go take a look at our original. Compare the two. There was the original, and there was this. And we've just made it a little snappier, brought out some of those tones a little, pushed that background back. So we may have helped it a little bit. Let's go on to the next one. Here we have a really nice sunset shot. Our problem here is that we have two nice sunset shots in this. Let me show you what I mean. You've got two focal points here. Number one, you've got this couple with the sun there. How can that not be something that's supposed to take your attention? But out here, we've got this powerful, directional, pointed line leading to something out in here. We're not sure what because it's dark and you can't see it, but it's pushing you in this direction. So that could make a nice, interesting composition on its own, but it really distracts from this. So what I would do is look at, and the cool thing about working digitally is you can do any of this and it's non-destructive. Is this by itself a nice shot? And I'm inclined to think, why, yes, indeed it is. Just like that. Now you've got a main subject that's undeniable, the couple that's under the pier here, the sunset that's very, very nice. All of that works. You have another possible shot that's over here. Let me bring that about there. Where now you've got a nice composition of the pier, the sky. I think this would be working with too, but since we don't have the time to do it all, I'm going to work with just this one. And now the only thing I want to do is bring down this glare a little. And I'm going to come in so I can see it a little better. Interesting flare, but it's just a little hot. It's really burning your vision out. So I'm going to pick up, come on, one of these lighter yellow tones, because that's a natural tone in the area. I'm going to put it into my brush, and I'm going to tell my brush to darken. And that means it will only paint on the areas of the scene that are lighter than it is. It won't paint on darker areas. So I could use a brush this big, and it just is not recording on the pier. It's only recording where it's lighter. Now, what I do need is a smaller brush. I want to keep that nice hot sun in the middle, but I want to tone some of this down so it's not quite as objectionable as it was. And now we can look at our couple more easily than we could before with that bright sun trying to blind us. Okay, so that was easy enough. Very quick couple of fixes on that. So let's grab the next one. Well, here we have a nice morning shot of the sun rays coming through the trees. Judging from the shape of the rock in the background, I'm guessing this is at Yosemite, and that's Half Dome in the background. So this area over in here has some really nice possibility with all of these cool rays going through what could either be morning fog, it could be campfire smoke, it could be all kinds of things, but it really makes interesting woodsy light. But as we get over into here, we've got this bright sun area. This isn't helping us at all. In fact, it's kind of distracting. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of it. The good old tried and true easy way, I'm simply going to crop it out. And now what I want to see, and I don't know if this is true, I didn't try this in advance, so this may go nowhere, but we'll take a quick look. Remember I used the multiply layer before to darken by about a stop? Well, here's the screen layer, and it lightens things by about a stop. So look at the tree in the foreground, all of that information that just showed up. So I'm going to take that, leave this as a screen layer, and what I'm going to do is do a reverse mask on this. So when I come down to the layer mask tool, I'm going to hold down the Alt key when I hit it, and now you can see it went back to the original version, and it's a black mask, which is hiding the effect we just did. If I paint on this with a white brush, I can now reveal that change we made. So I'm going to make this a bit bigger. I'm going to make this a little subtler. This is a stylistic thing, but when I'm working on my own, I would far rather have to make several passes to build up to what I want than to set it. You can see it start to, each time I tap on the key. So now we've brought that out. Now layer masks have a really interesting function or a capability. If you duplicate the layer mask, that whole layer with the layer mask, it duplicates everything, including the effect of the mask. So let's double this up, and we can lighten that even more without having any effect on the area around it. So that reads a little bit better. Now what I might do is go back and ever so slightly darken this area. So I'm going to go ahead and flatten this. And for right now, just to make it quick and easy, I'm just going to use the burn key. There we go. So there's what we've done with that one. Let's take a look and see if that was at all satisfactory. So there is our original. And there's what we got when we cropped it a little bit and did it. Now, we have lost that rock behind it, the part of Half Dome. But for me, this picture was not about Half Dome. It was simply about this light coming out through the trees and all. Okay. Oh, what a delightful sepia-toned shot of this poor fallen down structure abandoned somewhere. The toning is perfect for it. Good plan that you would do that. It's nicely backlit with this getting some reflected light to hold it out. My only problem is I'd like to see more of this house. I'd like to see it a little better. So once again, I'm going to make some decisions. Do I need all of this? No. Where is my shot? It's right in here. This is where my photograph is. So how much of this do I not need in order to tell my photograph? Okay. How about this side? Actually, I think this could make an interesting square composition. We could bring this back, force this back into a horizontal. And we can do that, but I'm not sure it's any better like that. So now we can get in closer to the real shot. I think this is really nicely done. I would do what we did with that last one, pick up some of this sky tone and just take this sun down just slightly. Bright things draw your eye to them. I want your eye drawn to this because that's what the picture is about. So we might even bring that out a little bit. Let's go down. Let's do one quick attempt. We're going to go pick up a screen layer. I'm going to do layer mask. And now I'm going to darken the area around it back to the original. You can do this either way. You can use a normal layer mask or a reverse layer mask. In this case, let's try it this way. So we've left our house, which is this lighter area over in the icon, without very much, if any, work. and helped it stand out a little better. Again, let's see what would happen if we duplicate this effect. And we bring this all down. Oops. And we bring this all down again. Okay. Now, I do want to darken that sky a little. So, I'm going to flatten this. Do this one more time, once more with feeling. I'm going to duplicate it. Make this a multiply layer. And I'm going to do a reverse mask holding down the Alt key. Okay, now let's duplicate this whole thing just to see what we get. Okay. However, now I see something I didn't see before. I've got transmission lines up in here. You guys surely know how to take those out. I mean, this shot doesn't want modern power lines in it. So if I were going to do it, I'm not going to take the time to do all of them. But to give you a sense of the ease with which they can be taken out, is I would simply go up here, pick up, and show you. I'm not going to take the time to get rid of all of them, but it really is awfully simple. Go take this spot healing brush, and it's gone. Do that to each one and they're out of there. So there's that one. Okay, let's look at the last one for part. Oh, what a delightful shot this is. Wow, evening in the desert, very sensuous organic forms in the sand. It almost looks like a figure with a very fine weave drape on it. I mean, this is gorgeous. I love this. The only thing I would want to do is I'd like to bring the sky down just a little. I think the composition and the cropping is just fine. And I would do that using our old friend, the multiply layer. I would use a reverse mask, black, and now with the white brush, and a nice big, very soft brush at about 40%. I would brush across it. Now you could have done the same thing by creating the effect almost of a gradient filter, but the problem is you do not have a flat horizon. So this allowed us to get in and play with that uneven horizon. Now that I look at it, I think I've got this rich residual sunlight here on this pool of light. I would like to bring that out just a little. So I'm going to flatten the image one more time, go through, make a duplicate, make it a screen layer. Do a reverse mask. And now I really want to be subtle with this. Maybe too much. Okay, and there to me is my finished shot. And the difference, again, is relatively subtle, but it is a noticeable difference. Here is our original. Here's after playing with it a little bit. So, again, I think this is a gorgeous shot. This would be a nice wall hanger to do. We're at the end of part one. I'll get this edited and posted and start in with part two as quickly as I can. And we'll get all of this up for you. Okay, thanks.